When Hamas launched its genocidal terror war on Israel, massacring, torturing, and raping innocent men, women, and children, it was not an isolated event, but part of a broader war. A war that soon encompassed Hezbollah, the Houthis, militias in Syria and Iraq, and the chief architect of Iran itself, who continues to fund terror gangs in Judea and Samaria or the West Bank. Israel is now fighting on 7 different fronts, although many hope the recent ceasefire deal with Hezbollah will endure. But there's an 8th front too, one that extends far beyond the Middle East, and this is a front that targets not just Israel, but all Jews worldwide. We see it every day. In Amsterdam, Jewish and Israeli football fans were violently targeted and attacked in what can only be described as a pogrom. They were forced to jump into the canals to get away from the attackers. Can you imagine the horror and the fear they felt? Especially as it happened in the very same city that the young Jewish girl, Anna Frank, was forced to hide from Nazi persecution during World War II. She hid to stay alive. This is not normal. Now, there are those who argue that this is all about Israel, not Jews, but this is simply not true. Anti-Semitism has been on the rise for decades. The October 7 massacre wasn't fueled by political grievances, but by a deep primal hatred, the same hatred that drives anti-Semitism today. It is a hatred that spans the political spectrum. Extremists from the far left to the far right, who would, under normal circumstances, oppose each other, actually unite in their disdain for Jews. And unfortunately, this has been made worse by weak leadership and a moral confusion in Western democracies. Democracies that cannot distinguish between aggressors and their victims. We've seen this in countries like France, Britain, and Canada, who have actually initiated limited arms embargoes on Israel because of their concerns of supposed violations of international humanitarian law. Yet here's an interesting fact. 17% of France's military arms exports go to Qatar, a major human rights violator and a key sponsor of Hamas. Any concerns over that, President Macron? Unfortunately, this weak leadership is also found over here in Australia. The Australian government has claimed it's a steadfast friend of Israel, yet its actions are not that of a friend. It continues to reverse long-standing bipartisan positions by voting in favor of biased one-sided anti-Israel resolutions at the United Nations. It labels Gaza, East Jerusalem, and the West Bank as occupied Palestinian territory. And by doing so, it signals to the Palestinians that there's no need to negotiate because everything they want is theirs by right. It also continues to support UNRWA, a UN organization directly implicated in the October 7 massacre. And it is also obsessed with trying to force a two-state solution, as if this is even remotely possible with terror groups like Hamas and corrupted entities like the Palestinian Authority. The message that this obsession sends is that it rewards Hamas's terrorism on October 7, and it also encourages the Palestinian Authority to continue their path of rejectionism, because they have rejected every kind of two-state peace offer they've ever been given. Western leaders who have failed to support a democratic partner in Israel, even as it fights against those wishing to destroy it, have only encouraged much of the anti-Semitism we see today, and in doing so have made Jewish communities worldwide vulnerable to hatred and violence. There will come a time where the guns fall silent along the 7 fronts Israel is fighting. But long after that happens, the 8th front will continue to rage, fueled by weak leadership that lacks both the wisdom to tell right from wrong and the courage to confront the world's oldest hatred.